You're listening to All My Friends Are Ghosts, a long-form narrative drama told in 14 parts. Episode 4, The Boy. They were tangled together, learning the disciplines of each other's bodies in that steamy little apartment, when the boy noticed Simon's drifting attention. He rolled on his side, turned the record player down, and fished a cigarette out of the pack on the floor next to him.
Tell me a story. I love the way you tell stories.
That's embarrassing.
What do you mean? Why?
I just feel embarrassed. I don't know.
Well, don't. Just stop feeling embarrassed. I want to hear a story.
The boy righted himself, inching his body away from Simon a bit as he leaned his shoulders against the windowsill. Simon recognized that sarcastic pout in the boy's voice and started instinctively calculating the numerous sour turns conversations had taken when he'd heard it before. He didn't want the night to end that way.
Okay, I'll tell you a story. So in 1987, Larry Bird took the Boston Celtics to the NBA Finals for the last time. This was the first year they actually called it the Finals. Until that point, it had been called the World Championship.
Wait, seriously?
What?
I don't want to hear a story about basketball.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you don't. I'm not even sure I want to hear a story about basketball. But it's not a story about basketball. It's just the first thing that came to my mind about it. Give me a minute to get in the story.
Okay. Sorry. I just really don't want to hear about sports, especially not...
I know, your stepdad, I know. It's not a basketball story, I promise. I'm well aware you were traumatized in unimaginable ways by all those drills and pick and rolls or whatever when you were a kid.
Continue.
Anyway, it was June, and we were living in San Antonio at this point, right across from our elementary school, which had a baseball field. It was super balmy all summer. And about the time the fireflies would stop blinking, the night would light up with this blue-white glow from the ball game. The whole neighborhood would be quiet except for the dull rumbling sound of the people in the stands, and the crack of the bat would start the whole crowd exploding. And I remember there was always this one woman we called the Chicken Lady because you could hear her like squawking above the crowd. Like even inside the house, it was crazy.
Were you rooting for the Lakers or the Celtics?
Oh my God. You don't want to hear a story about basketball, remember?
I was just wondering.
You know, I honestly don't remember. My dad always loved Larry Bird. You could not love Larry Bird, I guess. He was brilliant and brutal and, like, completely insane. I always thought that's how my dad would have played basketball. I don't know. At this moment, I'd probably go Celtics, But at the time, I recall just being super enamored by the sense of wonder watching those two teams. Anyway, we had company in town, some of my parents' old friends and their son. It's one of those situations where you call them aunt, uncle, cousin, whatever, but you don't realize until you're older that they were just people your parents knew. Their kid was always getting into trouble at school and home, just wherever he went, sort of just stirred up stuff. So whenever they'd visit, I would just sort of start preparing for this cool, slightly older hoodlum's arrival.
Preparing how?
I don't know. I mean, just getting ready to put on some posture to make him think I was cool enough to goof around with, I guess. Like, one time I remember they stayed with us and he kept talking about pills and sex the whole time. And we were like very young kids and none of it meant anything to me, so I was just playing along or whatever. And after he went back home, I mailed him an envelope full of pills. Like, literally just a regular letter envelope stuffed with pills.
Like, what kind of pills?
I don't know, like, literally just whatever stuff was in my mom's medicine cabinet. Like, cold pills and multivitamins and birth control pills and stuff.
Oh my God.
I know. It's hilarious. He actually ended up calling me after he got it. And I remember my mom telling me he was on the phone and how excited I got. Like, thinking I'd earned some kind of bad boy cred with him or something. And then when I got on the phone with him, he was just totally pissed off and confused.
Seriously?
Yeah, totally.
Like, what did he say?
I don't know. He was like, dude, why the hell did you send that to me? What am I supposed to do with this? And stuff like that. I was sort of shocked. Sort of not, I guess. I ended up asking him what he did with the pills, and he said he buried them in his grandma's backyard. God, I hadn't thought about that in years.
So when he came during the finals, how did you prepare?
Oh, I don't know that I really prepared that time so much as I just stole 3 joints from my dad's stash. Not a lot of preparation went into that plan, I think.
Seriously?
Yeah, I mean, he just, like, kept all his weed and stuff in this little flat, lidless wooden box under the cabinet where his stereo was. And they were just sitting there pre-rolled in a plastic baggie.
You didn't think he'd miss them, or what?
Hell, I don't know. I was, like, 8 or 9, I guess. Well, it was June, so I was 9, and Peter was 11. Anyway, I don't know. It just didn't even occur to me. My cool hoodlum cousin was coming to visit. I was going to blow his damn mind. It must have been Game 3 that night, because I remember we were all in front of the TV just screaming and freaking out. Bird and Magic both scored like 30 points, and Boston took the game, and it really felt like they were going to keep the series alive.
I'm warning you, if this is a basketball story.
Anyway, it just really cranked everybody up, you know. After the game, we snuck outside and across the street into the darkness of the field between our house and the ballpark. It was that kind of dark that gave you a sense of having disappeared completely. We felt anonymous, like shadows. One of those feelings you only ever get as a kid. I remember walking over the blacktop between the school and the playscape. They had all 50 states painted on the court, and as we hopscotched our way over them, around maybe Utah, I told them that I had something to show them. I remember sort of giving a shifty glance around us, and then darting under the stands by the kickball field and pulling the baggie out of my pocket. I had expected him to be, I don't know, stunned, thrilled, maybe even just scared we'd get in trouble. I don't know.
What did he say?
I mean, I don't think he really said anything. He sort of just looked at the baggie and then looked back up at me, and then he took a lighter out of his pocket.
Oh my God. Seriously?
Yeah. I mean, I guess I didn't realize until much later in life that he'd probably had numerous similar experiences in the 3 or 4 years that separated us. I actually remember imitating that same aloof reaction the third or fourth time a friend in middle school ushered me into their room and closed the door and said, "You want to see something?" Only to just pull out some copy of Playboy I'd seen 100 times, or their rifle their uncle gave them or whatever.
Okay, so then you guys just smoked 3 joints?
Yeah, totally.
Wow. So you were a 9-year-old stoner. What was that like?
I mean, it wasn't really like anything, I guess. I just remember being there under the old worn-out bleachers where I'd eventually share first kisses and nurse emotional wounds at recess. And I remember putting the first joint in my mouth and lighting it, and then I just remember waking up in bed at home.
So you blacked out from smoking pot?
I mean, I guess. I was a little kid. I guess it was like just too intense or something. I don't know.
Well, yeah. But then what about your cousin or whatever he was?
You know, I don't even remember. My main memory is waking up and kind of being terrified by what had happened, by losing time and sort of having my off switch flipped or whatever. It really messed with me.
Oh, I'm sure it did.
I mean, when I woke up that day, I had this really disconnected feeling. I felt like my eyes were messed up, like my head was in a fishbowl or something. Everything seemed distant and distorted. I ended up talking to my mom about it and obviously leaving out what I'd done the night before. I just told her about my vision being weird and how strange my head felt, and I guess she thought I needed glasses or something.
Oh my God. Is this the prelude to the story where you purposely failed an eye exam because you wanted glasses like Buddy Holly?
Yes and no. I mean, sort of. Technically, it could be. That's pretty much what happened next, but I'm not even sure where I was going with any of this, really.
The boy took his arm from around Simon's waist, jiggled the frame of his glasses playfully, and winked at him.
I've never had to fake it at the eye doc.
Truly blessed. Anyway, I remember being there in the optometrist's office in the dark with this arcane pinwheel of mechanisms pressed against my face. With my state of mind at the time, it seemed like some sort of medieval ritual, trial by awkwardness or something. There were a few minutes when both my mom and the doctor got up and left the room mid-exam, when I was just sitting there in the dark. The only light was a small lamp focused hotly against the far wall. It had been close enough to the wall for long enough to have branded a dark brown and yellow burn on the plain white background. The longer I looked at the wall, the more sharply defined the burn became. It looked like the pictures you see of comets in the newspaper, only in negative. My first thought was whether anybody had ever noticed it before. And my second thought was a series of maudlin fantasies about the wall igniting while I sat there watching the whole building collapse around me. I imagined sitting there for as long as I could stand it before she'd come pull me out. I knew she'd never let anything bad happen to me, but in my fantasizing, I began to almost pray for it. Picturing myself sitting there and breathing in the molten fumes of sheetrock and plastics and metals all coming apart around me gave me this intense feeling of peace in some weird way. I felt like I could just let everything go and stop trying. It's weird to look back now and realize I had thoughts like that even back then.
They were both motionless.
I realized recently that I always think everything is new. Like this very moment is the first moment I've ever felt a certain way. because it's here now and it feels real because I'm in it. So it's new even if I know there's familiarity to it. Then sometimes I'll just randomly remember that I've always felt this way, and off and on, and that it just comes in waves of panic sometimes. Then it's gone again.
They both lay there, the boy's head on his stomach, an arm thrown over him, their legs tangled. Simon ran little circles in the boy's hair at the nape of his neck, and after a minute he began cooing, and his body gave a little shuddering movement, and Simon could feel his face tighten into a smile against his belly again. But neither of them broke that silence, and it lasted quite some time. After he could tell he was sleeping, Simon slid out from under him, and as he did, his body jumped slowly in a brief nocturnal fit, and he curled away from him and twisted under the sheets, and was soon deeply asleep again. He took his time getting dressed as he checked the transit arrivals on his phone, and when he left the apartment, he reached back in around the door to twist the lock on the knob before he pulled it shut and descended the 4 floors to the street. As he descended the escalator of the Civic Center station, he put in his earbuds.
Arriving westbound, 2 car heading to Ocean Beach. Next gate is 6 minutes, towed in 2 minutes, carry in 8 minutes, and in 14 minutes. Shuttle to West Portal Station in 12 minutes.
It still hurts, it still bothers me. I can't touch you because I know it won't.
He found his way to an unforgiving plastic seat as the crunch of guitars and drums thundered in his head, the pleading, world-weary vocals reminding him of his insignificance. As the train approached Dubose Park, he saw the pneumatic stairs lower out of the corner of his eye, and he felt the car shift on its tracks in a calming, familiar way. He threw the black hood of his sweatshirt over his head, dropped his head, and stared into his open hand. The train stopped, and the doors opened, and a woman with grocery bags got on and sat directly across from him. his view only encompassing the gray rubber floor between his knees and the woman's feet with that black veil clinging over him in some vain attempt to become anonymous, like shadows. Tears came just as the train entered the Sunset Tunnel. The last time he saw the boy in person, he asked him if he'd ever cried on public transit, and all he said was,
It's a very lonely feeling.
Next stop,
Circumstance dictates love with help from your temperament and money and status, yeah, all of the above. So just relax. You can't force love or avoid death. It's all a mystery unfolding within you.
I know you wouldn't want to hear me going on like this. And I know it's not right to burden you or anyone with all of this unfiltered chaos. But you were always the last place I could go to take my deepest, darkest to die or to ruminate comfortably in malaise or whatever. I swear I'm not trying to be melodramatic here. I walk through life every day writing little notes to you in my head. Every time I catch myself wishing I could tell you about some mundane thing I find hilarious or ridiculous, I kind of get this, I wish you could see me now sort of feeling. But you can't see me. And honestly, I'm glad you can't see me. I mean, I'd rather you were here, but as for me, I'm just not what I wish I was. I'm not where I wish I was, wherever that is. I'm not who I want to be or who I ever wanted to be. Is that even a thing? Does anyone ever feel like they've arrived? All I ever do is listen to music and read books and sit in the park and watch all the obnoxious people go by and just hate everything. I know it's not entirely true. I don't hate everything. I just feel like it would be easier if all there was left in me was hate. You can pin a lot on yourself when there's more than that left in you, you know? You can fool yourself into thinking things no one has control over are somehow your fault. Because you're tied to things, tied to beliefs, tied to people. They're all anchors. Sometimes I try to convince myself that hate is all I've got room for anymore, and And then I hear Dusty Springfield's voice from a passing car, or I see a picture of Gore Vidal and Howard Austin in their youth, and I get this funny, contented feeling, and I start to imagine my hopefulness seeping back in like a pill dissolving in my stomach, sending its little chemical explosions all through my blood. The chemical changes the blood revives the brain moves the machine, keeps the charade alive. Sorry, I said I'd spare you the melodrama. I really know what you meant now when you told me that common sense couldn't be learned. My entire day is spent interacting with people who've gone their whole lives without gaining any sense of intuition for the world around them. Clueless bastards walking around staring at their damn phones all day, totally disconnected from whatever modicum of human interaction they allow themselves to be inconvenienced by. It's completely deflating. Almost every little hole in the wall where I used to go sit and write and nurse a beer or five has been priced out and reborn as some high-end mixology nightmare. Fool the clock around with this homogeneous humanoid ooze. I don't even have a place where I can go sit and eat a sandwich without being completely morally accosted by all the so-called progress surrounding me. So yeah, I'm glad you can't see me now.
All My Friends Are Ghosts is written and directed by Blake Cormier. Starring Blake Cormier as Simon, Milo Sanchez as the boy, and Lauren Seal as the narrator. Original music and sound design by Blake Cormier. More information about the production and all songs used in the show can be found at adoredbymillions.com.